artists don't just pick any guitar and play or pick any piano. They like a particular sound. That is where their subjectivity comes in. But once they've transcribed that in some form of a piece of music, then our job is to stay objective to that. Our job is to make sure that what we are representing in an individual's home is as close as possible to what the musician and the mastering engineer and the cutting engineer actually intended us to hear.
Well, whenever there's an upcoming product from Vertere, and Touraj would give me a call and we come in and discuss like the next product that Touraj was to bring to the market. My role normally will involve in listening to what Touraj has come up with, or sometimes certain parameters are already established, and I would normally look at it and start thinking, well, how am I going to interpret this new up and coming product from various angles, whether it's aesthetics, functions, or even just contemporariness of it. As we all know now that there's so many products out there, so it has to be, we have to focus on some angles. It has to satisfy all the parameters that Touraj want to establish with the new product, whether it's sound, whether it's the look of it, or the function of it. Perhaps that's where I come in, and through discussion and sometimes sketchings that I start doing, and hopefully we can perhaps give answer to all these parameters. It's almost like a chef. You have got all these ingredients, but you have to bring it all and make sense out of it. Perhaps that's ultimately my job, really, as a designer.
Being the design house that we are, we're small and we're agile, and we're able to develop world-class products, initially from concept all the way through to production. But it gives us the agility to come back the other way through our customer network, through our retail and our distribution network, to be able to quickly assess where we are in the product, how the product is working in the field, and be able to make development improvements that we believe then we can feed back into our customer base much faster than a bigger company that probably has to go through more processes than we do, and probably has to go through way more sign-offs than we do. I like that aspect of the way we work because it allows us to really hone a product in a small period of time, and it's a very satisfying way to deliver the quality that we're always striving to deliver as a design house through to a production department. That nimbleness is something that we pride ourselves on.
We are really fortunate in a way because having the relationship with key personnel in music, in recording, production, mastering, cutting, people like Giles Martin, people like Miles Shaw at Abbey Road Studios, and Guy Hayden or Nick Mason, etc., who are in the forefront of music. We have the ability to be at those mastering sessions, for example, when they're doing something, listen to the acetates, listen to the files that they've produced, that then eventually become the source material for cutting the lacquer that produces the record vinyl that we buy and we listen to. It gives us first-hand experience of what that master should have sounded like, and we can then mimic that here, or even be at a studio, for example, listening to mastering of, for example, Caesar album or the LS album that we put out, and have that on an acetate, play it back here, check to see where we are relative to the original and what the pickup from the record player is. And this is invaluable in being able to produce products that can be used in every home, everywhere, but yet experience the same level of performance that you would be experiencing if you heard the musicians.
One of the key things that myself and all of us at Vertere are really interested in is getting the best out of our music. The record players that we produce, the cables that we produce, are there to fulfill that ambition, to get every last detail out of the recording, out of the performance. But it's a technical process. Every single part of a hi-fi system involves specific attention to detail to get it set up and get it performing correctly. And there's little that is more technically complex to get right and possible to get close, but still miles away, than a record player. So as part of my role as UK sales manager, it's incredibly important that we can ensure that our dealers are able to get the last nuance, the last piece of detail out of those players. So I go through the process of learning how to set up each and every combination of record player, cable, cartridge, tone arm that we produce, and it is a key thing for me to impart that to our dealers so that they can make sure that their end users, their customers, are getting the absolute maximum performance out of their systems.
One of the key things for manufacturing anything is to have a product you can consistently make exactly the same time after time after time. That comes with a lot of experience, and also it comes with a lot of detail. There's an old saying in lean manufacturing that the devil is in the detail, and it certainly is with this product. And why I say that is because an uncontrolled environment does not give you a product that is customer friendly. If you haven't got all the tools you need and your people are not confident with using them, the consistency can never be there. And also, they've not grown with the product, so they don't understand what the end result is. We're on a different level. One of the things Touraj has done for us all is let us listen to the actual turntable. It's absolutely extraordinary. And he said, this is what we are striving for. So if we build everything the same all the time, you will always get a perfect product. When you vary, you do get issues, and it never sounds the same. And I have seen that for myself. It's got to have consistency in it. And we have all the tools for that. We have jigs, we have the right drivers, we have the right diagrams, we have the right checking tools, and our quality. We check our quality every time we make a part to ensure that it's to the right specification. We're committed for perfection. It's probably the right word I can use. And at the moment, that's what we're striving for. So our aim is that. Our product speaks for itself. It's a beautiful product. You can't get that without having some consistency in manufacturing. It's not possible. Take it from someone that's had 30 years experience in the business.
I knew that in vinyl playback that I had been working. I've been designing record players since 1984. And I have done so many different versions, so many different things, but all achieving the same thing. And it wasn't until the birth of Vertere that I started working with the hand-built cables and with the reference tone arm that opened up the window to such an extent that it made it very easy to realize where the deficiencies lie, and therefore give us a roadmap to how we should go ahead. So once we've tackled one or two things, we knew what the next 2-3 things are going to be. The most important aspect of this was that having that reference point and having the materials that you could listen to And being able to go into the studios, for example, actually experience what they were doing with mastering, cutting, etc., and bringing that back here and using the equipment as closely as possible to mimic the monitoring system. So we're putting everything as a common denominator. So we are really looking at the two sources, the source that cut the record and the record being played back on the record player. This eventually gave us the ability to down engineer everything, because you can then understand the most important components and bring it to the reality that we wanted to get at the end. DG1 would have been completely impossible to get that performance from this level of cost and manufacturing if we didn't have the reference products. Because of this, we have managed to increase the range so that from a DG all the way to an RG, we have components that all stand within their section and perform way above what you would expect at that point. And whatever you pick up at the source, you can later, wherever you improve your system, the whole thing will improve. Whatever you lose at the source, none of the components later on can actually recreate that.